Hello everyone and welcome for this new video. In this episode we are going to see how to draw and paint hands. For this video I'm going to use two hand studies that I did in a previous live stream, but it was kind of hard to watch the entire live stream, so I figured that I could make the information more easy to grasp in just one video, so here it is. So hands are a very interesting subject to draw and paint because they are a very expressive part of the body. I would say they are the second most expressive part of the body after the face. You can show anger, fear, or any type of emotion with hands. But the problem with drawing or painting hands is that they can have some random positions that are not always artistically pleasant. They move a lot, they are constantly in motion. Like if you take a still picture of hands, they are not necessarily going to appear in a very pleasing manner. So the thing is that you need to understand the architecture and how to draw a basic hand, and if needed, how you can change the position or the angle or move a finger or two to make the position more like you want it. As I said, the hands are very mobile, so it's always possible to move things around, and that's a good thing. But for that, you need to know the basic anatomy. I always suggest to use a reference picture. First, put your hands in a nice position and try to take a photo, or try to have a reference, because it's hard to just figure out how hands are supposed to look just from your imagination, and they have so many random positions that it's always better to have a reference. But you also need to know the basic architecture of a hand. So for that, start with a square. The square is the palm of the hand. Now you're gonna draw two small triangles, one on top and one on the side. The one on top is for the major finger, and the one on the side is going to be for the thumb. It's going to create two small triangles. Now the length of the fingers is approximately equal to the length of the palm of the hand. So you should have the same size for the palm and for the fingers. People have different length for the fingers. The length of the thumb is normally supposed to reach a little bit on top of the palm. That's just a basic representation, but people have different fingers, different sizes, so it's hard to say really. So right here the hand is represented flat, so if it moves around, of course you have to see this basic representation in 3D this time. And to do that, to represent a hand in 3D, you have to figure out that the square is not exactly a flat square. It's actually curved towards the inside of the palm. And of course, when the hand is not flat, the thumb also have the liberty to rotate. Now you have two drop-shaped muscles on each side of the palm on the inside, which are very important to understand as a structure for the hand. Now the order in which you want to draw the fingers is the order of the overall gesture. You want to follow the gesture and not just simply want to draw a hand. So first you want to draw the palm, and then you want to draw the index finger, because most likely it's going to sort of point in the overall direction. After that, the order is to either draw the thumb or the middle finger, next the ring finger and the pinky, but it all depends on the gesture that you want to paint and how the fingers overlap. But the main idea is to follow the gesture of the arm and the gesture of the hand all together to sort of have the hand and the fingers to feel naturally attached to the rest of the body. Now, of course, the fingers, if you represent them in 3D, are going to appear more like tubes, but they are tubes and that you should draw with some sort of a bean shape. You can accentuate this curvature, exaggerate this bean-shaped curve a little bit. Is going to make the hand more visible, and it's going to allow you to represent it better, because it's going to help the drawing show a better representation of what's up and down in the hand. And of course, the problem with fingers when they move around a lot is that they show a lot of foreshortening. So you have to deal with tons of subtle foreshortening with fingers, and foreshortening is something very, very difficult to tackle with anything, really, because it requires the use of perspective, but it also requires understanding the anatomy. And for fingers, it's all happening in such a small place, with varieties and shapes, and you have 5 fingers to take in consideration. Plus, if you are drawing both hands, you have to make it appear that the person has the same hands on both arms. Like, you don't want to draw them too big on one side and too small on the other side. So it's very difficult to deal with the foreshortening. So try to represent the fingers with tubes, and try to use the last phalanx with the shape and the design of the fingernails to help you conceive the foreshortening and see that better. Now, after that, you also have to take in consideration the relaxed or tensed state of the hand. The hand can have different positions. The more pleasant and gracious to look at are more relaxed, and for that you need to follow the tension of the ligaments of the hands. So the index finger generally has when the hand is relaxed, the index finger is generally more straight. The middle finger is a little bit more curved, naturally curved. The ring finger is a little bit more curved even, and the pinky is even more curved. So it's going to create a nice line like this. If you want to make your hand feel natural and relaxed, that's a good idea to follow this curve. If you move away from this and you try to give the fingers random positions, now it's going to make it look like the hand that has a lot of tension or has a lot of energy, is trying to do something, is trying to accomplish some type of action, and in that case this is something different. Now, to paint the hands, there is nothing specific to know in terms of color. The thing about the color of the hands is that the inside of the hand is generally more pink and more orange, because the hands have very fine skin, and you see the translucency because they are like the ears. The light can go through the fingers and sort of light it a little bit by translucency. So you will see more orange and more pink in the hands. So you can add a little touch of alizarin crimson, or a little touch of orange like burnt sienna, or any type of orange that you want, and it's going to make it appear that the hand has more blood flow and catches light in a more translucent way. And of course, the wrists and the top of the hand will appear blue at some points where you see the veins. The most important thing is mostly to paint their shadows, not necessarily their color. But you also have the shadows of the knuckles to represent of all the wrinkles that you can spot on the hand, all the transfers, the digital creases. Everything is a very important element to convey a good sense of volume. You want to represent the hands with the accurate representation of the values. You don't want to be too obvious and make them too dark, but just use a value that's slightly darker to create this impression of the creases. Now, about the color of the nails, they have no specific color for their own unless they are painted with nail polish. They are more reflective, so you generally have highlights on the nails. You have the lanula that's a little bit lighter than the rest, but generally it's not visible. So I would suggest to not take care of the fingernails until everything is really in place. And once everything is in place, just paint a single shadow on one side, on the good side, to suggest the volume of the nail, and just try to not square it up. You don't want to put a huge black line on the entire contour of the fingernail. You just want to be very subtle, follow the direction of the shadows, and create a subtle shadow line. Alright, that's it for this video. If you enjoyed it, please don't hesitate to like and subscribe. A huge thank you to all my patrons on Patreon, and I'll see you for the next one. Until then, have fun painting and have fun drawing. Bye.